For 6 years, James "Doc" Patterson made coffee at a small café in downtown Seattle. Morning rush, afternoon regulars, the usual crowd. He knew everyone's order by heart. Medium latte, extra shot, black coffee, no sugar, caramel macchiato, extra caramel. He was good at his job, fast, efficient, friendly, but not overly chatty. The kind of barista who remembered your drink but not your name. He was 42 years old, fit despite the sedentary work, short, dark hair going gray at the temples, a slight limp in his right leg that got worse when it rained. Customers assumed old sports injury. Nobody asked. He didn't volunteer. Until a Tuesday morning in November when a young man in a business suit walked in during the morning rush. Clean cut, late 20s, confident. He ordered a large black coffee and stood waiting at the pickup counter. The cafe was packed. Noisy, coffee machines hissing, conversations overlapping. Doc was making drinks on autopilot, moving through the familiar rhythm. Then someone knocked over a display. The crash was sudden, loud, like a gunshot. Doc's body reacted before his mind could catch up. He dropped behind the counter. His voice cut through the chaos with absolute authority. "Get down! Stay down! Don't move!" The command was so powerful, so visceral, that half the cafe hit the floor immediately. Pure instinct triggered by a voice that expected instant obedience. 3 seconds later, Doc realized where he was. A coffee shop, not a battlefield. The crash was a display, not an explosion. He stood up slowly, face flushed. Sorry everyone. Old reflex, everything's fine." The customers slowly got up, awkward laughter. "PTSD?" someone asked sympathetically. Doc nodded, easier than explaining. But the young man in the business suit was still frozen, staring at Doc like he'd seen a ghost. His coffee cup was on the floor. He wasn't picking it up. He was just staring. "Your voice," the young man said quietly. "I know that voice." If this story of instant recognition and a voice that saves lives already has you hooked, hit that like button and subscribe. What happens when a business executive recognizes his barista as the platoon sergeant who saved his life in Afghanistan will prove that some commands never leave you. Now, let's go back to 2011, to a dusty Afghan street where that voice first saved lives. Staff Sergeant James Patterson, call sign Doc, despite not being a medic, led 1st Platoon, Charlie Company, 2nd Battalion, 1st Marines through the village of Sangin. The name Doc had stuck since his first deployment. His squad had joked that he kept them alive like a medic, but with leadership instead of bandages. The nickname followed him through 2 tours. Eventually, it replaced James entirely. This was patrol number 147. They'd done this route 100 times, through the market, past the mosque, check in with village elders, show presence, build relationships. It was supposed to be routine. Sangin was one of the deadliest places in Afghanistan. IEDs everywhere. Taliban fighters blending with civilians. Every patrol was Russian roulette. Doc's platoon was 23 Marines. He knew them all. Their strengths, their weaknesses, their families back home. He'd been their platoon sergeant for 18 months. Private First Class Tyler Morrison was on his first deployment. 20 years old, from Kansas. Wanted to be a lawyer when he got out. Smart kid, good instincts, but still learning. Morrison was walking point that day, the most dangerous position. Leading the patrol through a narrow street, Doc was 10 feet behind him, maintaining proper spacing, always watching, always assessing. That's when he saw it, a slight disturbance in the dirt, a pattern that didn't match. 3 years in Afghanistan had trained his eyes to spot anomalies. This was one IED, right in Morrison's path. Next step would detonate it. Doc's voice cut through the helmet radios with absolute authority. "Morrison, freeze! Don't move!" Morrison stopped mid-step. His foot was inches from the pressure plate. The entire patrol froze. "Don't move a muscle," Doc said, his voice calm now but still commanding. "IED. Right in front of you. Nobody move. Stay exactly where you are." The silence was deafening. 23 Marines frozen in place, barely breathing. Doc keyed his radio. "Viper 6, this is Charlie 1. We have an IED in the street. Request EOD. Grid follows." He gave coordinates, then slowly, carefully, moved forward to assess. The device was sophisticated. Pressure plate, but also likely command detonated. Someone was probably watching them right now, finger on the trigger. "Morrison," Doc said quietly, "you're going to take one step backward, slow, controlled, on my count. 3, 2, 1, step." Morrison stepped back. Nothing happened. Again. 3, 2, 1, step. Another step back. Still nothing. Keep going. Slow. Steady. Morrison backed away from the IED. 5 steps. 10 steps. Until he was clear. Then the Taliban opened fire. They'd been waiting, using the IED as bait. Once the Marines were bunched up, focused on the device, they attacked. AK-47 fire from 3 directions. RPG from a rooftop. Doc's training took over. "Contact left. Suppressive fire. Morrison, get to cover." The platoon responded instantly. Muscle memory and training. They'd drilled this 1,000 times, but Morrison froze. First combat. First time being shot at. His body wouldn't move. "Morrison! Move now!" Doc's voice cut through the chaos. Morrison ran for cover behind a wall. The firefight lasted 8 minutes. Felt like 8 hours. Doc directed fire. Maneuvered squads. Called for air support. An RPG exploded near Morrison's position. The blast threw the young Marine into the street. Exposed. "Stay down," Doc roared. "Don't move." Morrison stayed flat. Rounds kicked up dust around him. Doc sprinted across the street. 40 feet of open ground. Bullets cracking past. He grabbed Morrison by his body armor and dragged him to cover. "You hit," Doc demanded. "No, Sergeant. I'm okay. I'm okay." "Then get your head in the game and return fire." Morrison nodded and started shooting. The fear was still there. But so was training, and Doc's voice in his ear, steady and commanding. The Taliban broke contact after the F-16s arrived, disappeared into the city. 0 American casualties. 3 Taliban confirmed killed. That night, back at the outpost, Morrison found Doc on the roof pulling security. "Sergeant, I wanted to thank you. For today. For saving my life." "I didn't save your life. I gave you commands and you followed them. That's how it works. But if you hadn't..." "Morrison, you did good today. You froze for a second, but you got past it. You fought. You're going to be a good Marine. Just remember, when you hear my voice telling you to do something, you do it. No thinking, no hesitation. That voice is your survival instinct talking. Trust it." "I will, Sergeant. Always." Doc nodded. "Good. Now get some sleep. We patrol again tomorrow." Over the next 7 months, Doc led 1st Platoon through 53 more patrols in Sangin. His voice became a lifeline, a beacon in chaos. Move left. Take cover. Cease fire. Hold position. Stay down. The Marines learned to react instantly. Doc's commands weren't suggestions. They were survival. The deployment ended in March 2012. 23 Marines went home, all alive, all intact. Doc received a Bronze Star with Valor Device for leadership under fire, his 4th Bronze Star, 2nd with the V. He left the Marines in 2013 after 12 years of service, 3 deployments to Iraq, 2 to Afghanistan. Staff Sergeant E6, honorable discharge. The transition to civilian life was brutal. The nightmares were constant. Loud noises made him flinch. Crowds made him anxious. He couldn't hold a regular job. The structure felt wrong. The lack of purpose was crushing. He ended up in Seattle, far from the military world. Started working at a coffee shop because it was simple, predictable. No one expected him to be anything except a guy who made coffee. For 6 years, he'd been just that, a barista. Nobody from his past. No one who knew Doc, the platoon sergeant. Until today. Doc stared at the young man in the business suit, the man who'd frozen when Doc gave the command. Recognition hit them simultaneously. "Morrison?" Doc said quietly. "Sergeant Patterson." "Oh my God." "Sergeant Patterson." The busy coffee shop faded. Suddenly it was just 2 men, platoon sergeant and private. Sangin, Afghanistan. 12 years ago, Morrison's coffee cup was still on the floor. He made no move to pick it up. You're making coffee?" Morrison's voice was disbelieving. "I'm making coffee." "But you're Sergeant Patterson. You're Doc. You're the reason I'm alive." The other customers were starting to notice. The young man looked like he might cry. Doc came around the counter. "Let's step outside." They walked out to the sidewalk. Morning rush continued inside without them. Morrison was staring at Doc like he couldn't process what he was seeing. "I can't believe it's you. Your voice. The moment you said get down, I was back in Sangin. That exact tone. That command voice. I've never heard anything like it from anyone else. You look good, Morrison. Business suit. Clean cut. You made it out okay. Because of you. You saved my life. That IED. The firefight. How many times did you save me? I was your platoon sergeant. That was the job. It was more than that. You were everything. You kept all of us alive. 23 Marines, 53 patrols through the worst city in Afghanistan. Not one KIA. Not one." Doc didn't respond. He remembered every patrol, every close call, every time one of his Marines almost died. "What happened to you?" Morrison asked. "After you got out?" "This. I work at a coffee shop, make lattes, go home, repeat." "But you're Sergeant Patterson. You should be." "I don't know. Training Marines, leading, doing something that matters. This matters. People need coffee." Morrison looked frustrated. "You know what I mean. You have skills, experience, leadership. You're wasted here. I'm not wasted. I'm exactly where I need to be." They stood in silence. Cars passed. "Seattle morning traffic. I'm a financial analyst now," Morrison said finally. "At a big firm downtown. Make good money. Got married last year. My wife's pregnant. We're having a boy. I'm naming him James, after you." Doc felt his throat tighten. "Morrison, you don't have to." "I do. Because without you, none of this exists. Not me, not my wife, not my son. You gave me all of this. And you're making coffee. What do you want me to say? I want you to tell me you're okay. That leaving the Marines was what you wanted. That you're happy. Doc looked at the younger man. The private who'd frozen under fire was now a successful professional. Husband, soon-to-be father. Everything ahead of him. I'm okay, Doc said. But it sounded hollow even to him. Morrison pulled out his phone. Give me your number. Why? Because I just found my platoon sergeant making coffee and I'm not losing you again. Give me your number. Doc recited his number. Morrison saved it. I'm serious. I'm not disappearing. And neither are you. We're having lunch. Tomorrow. I'm taking you to lunch and we're talking. Really talking. Morrison, I don't need... It's Tyler, and yes you do. You saved my life. Now let me help you. Please. Doc saw something in Tyler's eyes. Determination. Gratitude. The same look he'd had after that firefight in Sangin when he realized he was still alive. Okay. Lunch. Tomorrow. Good. I'll text you details. Tyler paused. It's really good to see you, Sergeant. You too, Morrison. Tyler. Tyler went back inside to get a new coffee. Doc stayed on the sidewalk for a moment, processing what had just happened. His past had found him. The voice that had saved lives in Afghanistan had just revealed him in Seattle. He didn't know if that was good or bad yet. Tyler chose a quiet restaurant. Private booth, away from crowds. He arrived early and stood when Doc walked in. Old habit. Junior Marine standing for Senior NCO. You don't have to stand, Doc said, sitting down. I know. But I wanted to. They ordered. Made small talk. Then Tyler got serious. I need to tell you something. About Sangin. About that day with the IED. You don't need to. Yes, I do. Because I never got to say this before you left the Marines. Tyler took a breath. When you yelled at me to freeze, I was about to take another step. My weight was already shifting. If you'd been 1 second later, I'd have triggered that IED. I'd be dead. Or, at minimum, I'd have lost both legs. But you didn't. You stopped. Because your voice cut through everything. The fear, the confusion, everything. It was like my body obeyed before my brain even processed the words. That's not normal. That's something you built. Through training. Through trust. We followed your voice because we knew it meant survival. Doc was quiet. He'd never thought about it that way. After I got home, Tyler continued, I had nightmares. Still do sometimes. But in the nightmares, when things go wrong, I hear your voice. Stay down. Move left. You're okay. And it calms me. Even in dreams, your voice is still saving me. I'm glad you're doing well. Tyler, truly. But I'm just a guy who did his job. No. You're the platoon sergeant who brought 23 Marines home alive from the deadliest place in Afghanistan. Do you know what the casualty rate was in Sangin during our deployment? I know. 32%. 1 in 3 Marines was killed or seriously wounded. But not ours. Not one. Because of you. Because of your leadership. Tyler pulled out a folder. Opened it. After I found you yesterday, I contacted some of the guys from the platoon. They're all over the country now. But we have a group chat. When I told them I'd found you, they all responded immediately. He showed Doc his phone. Messages scrolling. Doc? Is he okay? Tell him Rodriguez says hello. He saved my life in Sangin. Best platoon sergeant I ever had. Give him my number. We need to get together. Reunion. Doc read the messages. Names he hadn't seen in years. Marines he'd led. Kept alive. They all remember you, Tyler said. They all want to talk to you. Some of them are struggling. PTSD, transition issues. They need their platoon sergeant. I'm not their platoon sergeant anymore. I'm a barista. You're always going to be our platoon sergeant. That doesn't go away. And Doc, I think maybe you need us as much as we need you." Doc looked up sharply. "What's that supposed to mean?" "It means I saw you yesterday. When that display crashed, you dropped behind the counter like it was an IED. You gave a command with the same voice you used in Sangin. You're still there. Part of you never left Afghanistan." "I'm managing." "Are you? Really? Because from where I'm sitting, you look like a man who's hiding. You took the most important thing about yourself, your leadership, your voice, your ability to save lives, and you buried it behind a coffee counter where no one would know. That's not managing. That's surviving. There's a difference." The words hit harder than Doc expected. "Because Tyler was right. I don't know how to do civilian life," Doc admitted quietly. "Everything feels wrong. The lack of structure. The lack of purpose. In the Marines, I knew exactly what I was supposed to do every day. Lead, protect, keep my Marines alive. Now I don't know what I'm supposed to do, so I make coffee. It's simple. No one depends on me. No one dies if I screw up. But people could live if you stepped up. What does that mean?" Tyler pulled out another piece of paper. "There's a veterans organization here in Seattle. They work with transitioning military, PTSD support groups, job training, mentorship. They're looking for volunteer group leaders, people who've been through combat, who understand what these guys are dealing with. I'm not qualified. You're the most qualified person I know. You led Marines through combat. You kept us alive. You know what it's like to come home and feel lost. These veterans need someone who gets it. Someone who can lead them through this like you led us through Sangin." Doc looked at the paper. "Contact information. Program details. I don't know if I can. Doc, you told me something in Afghanistan. You said when I heard your voice telling me to do something, I should do it. No thinking. No hesitation. Because that voice was my survival instinct talking." Tyler leaned forward. "Well, I'm using that voice now. Not as loud, but just as serious. I'm telling you, do this. Help these veterans. Step up. Lead again. Because that's who you are, and hiding from it isn't protecting you. It's killing you slowly." Doc sat back. 12 years of running from his past. 12 years of trying to be someone else. Someone normal. Someone who didn't carry the weight of keeping 23 men alive through hell. "I'll think about it," he said finally. "Good. That's all I ask." Tyler smiled. "And Doc, thank you. For Sangin. For the ID. For all of it. You gave me my life. Let me help you find yours again." The Veteran Support Group met every Tuesday night in a community center in downtown Seattle. 20 to 30 veterans. Different branches. Different eras. Different wars. All struggling with the same thing. Coming home. Doc facilitated the group. Not as a therapist. Not as a counselor. But as a veteran. Someone who'd been there. His voice was softer now than in combat, but still commanding. Still authoritative when it needed to be. "Talk to me about this week. What was hard? What was good?" The men, and a few women, shared. Job struggles. Relationship problems. Nightmares. Triggers. The daily battle of civilian life. Doc listened. Really listened. And when someone spiraled, when the darkness got too heavy, his voice cut through. "Stay with me. You're here. You're safe. Breathe." The same voice that had saved lives in Sangin was saving lives in Seattle. Tyler attended sometimes, sitting in back, watching his old platoon sergeant lead again. After one session, Tyler approached Doc. "You look different. Better. I feel different. Like maybe I found my mission again." "You did. You're doing what you were meant to do. Leading. Saving lives. Just in a different uniform." Doc smiled. "Still make coffee 3 days a week. Nothing wrong with that. As long as you're also doing this. They walked out together. Seattle night air. Cool and damp. My son was born last month, Tyler said. James Morrison. 8 pounds, 6 ounces. Perfect. Congratulations. I told him about you. When I was holding him, I told him he's named after the man who made sure I was alive to be his father. When he's old enough, I'm going to tell him the story. A boat singing, about the IED, about the voice that saved my life. Doc felt his eyes burn. You're going to be a good father, Tyler. I learned from the best platoon sergeant. You taught me how to lead, how to protect, how to bring everyone home. I'm going to teach my son the same things. They shook hands. Then Tyler pulled Doc into a hug. Thank you, Tyler said, for everything, then and now. Thank you, Doc replied, for finding me, for reminding me who I am. As Doc drove home that night, he thought about the journey. From Sangin to Seattle, from platoon sergeant to barista to group leader. His voice hadn't changed. The command was still there, the authority, the ability to make people listen, to make them believe they could survive. He'd just found a new battlefield, and on this one, the mission was the same as always. Bring everyone home alive.